more can I say?
Top Billin.
All right, Top Billin, your boy is back doing a little something different, a departure from the norm. I know all the time your boy got to come and bring those film studies, got to come and bring the jokes, got to come and bring the original football lingo so people can go out there and bite it and pretend like they made it up themselves and take it around and think that I won't notice the shit or somebody won't notice and tell me or something like that. You know, wash, rinse, and repeat for the last 8 years of my professional football analyst career, culminating on this beautiful channel right here on YouTube, Top Billin Sports, right? So out of sight, out of mind, right? Haven't done anything on the Washington football team, I think, since the Bobby McCain signing. So wanted to get some stuff out there. I will come back a little bit later, jump back into the film studies, and probably do something on a guy I'll talk about here a little bit later. But I wanted to do kind of a, I don't know what you call it, a video podcast or something like that. People always say, Murph, you got to do a podcast. You got to do a podcast. Like, bro, I was podcasting 8-9 years ago. Like, everybody's doing it now. You know me, I like everybody go left, I go right or whatever like that. So, but we can do that right up here on the channel, right? Because at the very least, this is my brand right here, and it'll be attached to that. So, going to do a little bit of a show. We could call it Washington Football Scheme, something like that, right? I made that up off the cuff. Washington Football Scheme, all right? So here on Washington Football Scheme, I want to talk to you boys about the comings and goings of last week. You haven't seen your boy talk about any of the things that's happened and some of the shit that's going through my mind. Love the Washington football team nation right here, man. You boys have been supporting quality content for sure. Salute to everybody who's done so. Please do so if you haven't done that already. Make sure the lights stay on here if you love this quality content that I'll be giving out right here in the form of a whole lot of entertainment as far as the film studies, of course. Edutainment. Got to get the education in there. We get the entertainment in there as well, baby, because that's what I do. I am the underground king. Say it with me, baby. Underground king. All right, so, yo, last week was crazy to me, right? I ain't gonna lie, I've been sitting here for like 5 or 6 straight days, you know what I'm saying? I ain't even left the chair and shit. I've just been sitting here like all kinds of emotion, wide range of emotions, like, doing all that shit because to me it came out of left field. The releasing of Morgan Moses, I just did not see coming. I talked about in quite a few content items like, man, don't do Scherf like that. Don't do Brandon Scherf like that. I can feel it coming just because of the franchise tags and everything like that. And it just seems like, man, this is not your daddy's Washington football team. It's just a whole different way of operating. This is a professional fucking franchise right now. It's feeling like that to me. This team is going some places. Built along the line of scrimmage. You can see them concentrating on that line of scrimmage. Not doing a little goofy shit that people would want them to do, but instead focusing on the line of scrimmage because, hey, listen, that's what the good football teams have. We can sit there all the time and talk about quarterback play, wide receivers, running backs, and everything like that, but it's all centered around the trench play still. It's going to be like that forever to the end of time. We can try to pretend like the game has changed so much and this and they're throwing the ball around the yard and all this and that, but it's still remains a line of scrimmage contest. The Washington football team on both sides of the ball, man, looking very good. So good that they're able to release Morgan Moses, who would say one of the better offensive linemen on the team. Now, was he perfect at right tackle? Not by any stretch of the imagination, right? He was getting some of that prison loving. You guys can sit up there and talk about that man getting injured and everything like that. But he took some prison loving from the Seattle Seahawks. I remember doing that on my Seattle Seahawks content and everything like that. And some other games as well. But he's a solid player. There's no doubt about that. But when you build depth and you have some really good guys running your organization like a Martin Mayhew, and you have that damn dude that I absolutely love, Coach Rivera, hey, things are just going to be different. So while it did catch me off guard, I can understand it. If you start to think about it, when you have too much at one position, you have to lessen and lighten the load, right? You can go back and revisit it a little bit, but sometimes you have to make tough decisions. So we'll start right here with the offensive line and thinking about that and how that works out. We still don't know exactly how it will play out from a personnel standpoint, exactly who will start, but obviously on the left side. Also, you signed Charles Leno. So I haven't said anything about Charles Leno there. Signed him from the Chicago Bears. He's serviceable to me. I think he's above average. I don't think he's anything to phone home about, but he is a veteran, and he has been there and played in a ton of football. So you think you can get the most out of your coaching or whatever like that. To me, nobody's a Trent Williams out there. So you can forget about that. You didn't go in the draft and necessarily try to go for the gusto like right away in the draft, right? You waited a little bit for Sam Cosmi, and to me, you got some excellent value. Maybe he develops a little bit down the road, but you can now allow for that to happen, and maybe he's the left tackle of the future, or maybe he steps right in for a Morgan Moses, but I would have to think that Charles Leno would be there. And what makes this happen to me is when you have guys beyond, right, your rotational guys. So if you got a guy like Cornelius Lucas, you know that he could play left or right tackle as well. If he had to start at left tackle, which I'm not so sure, he still does not start at left tackle. If they were to give it legitimate competition, I'm not so sure that Charles Leno is just flat out better than Cornelius Lucas. I'm being honest about that, right? That's all I can be, baby. I got to keep it a buck. So you know you have that. And you have a rotational piece in a Sadiq Charles. Now, I wouldn't necessarily play Sadiq Charles at a left tackle in the NFL. Right tackle, I could see him playing, and I think he will absolutely destroy that guard. You guys got to see this dude play. I covered him in college at LSU on a myriad occasions right in the early part of his career, and then a little bit later when they won the national championship. Done all kinds of run game studies when he was at LSU. The guy is a damn good athlete. He plays with a chip on his shoulder, man. His lower half, pause. The lower body, the lower portion, like his legs and stuff like that, man. Some of you dudes out there, man, come on. I know it's the DMV area in D.C. and Maryland, Virginia, and everything like that, but some of you dudes got a little South Beach in you, if you get what I'm saying. Maybe a little Seattle in you. So I'm not talking about that. Pause. That man's calf muscles, and he's just a damn savage. He can be a complete savage, I believe, at a left guard or a right guard spot. I think he can do and work in the pull game for sure, but I think he can just maul you to death. So you got that guy as a rotational piece at a bunch of different positions, and you can just see exactly what Ron Rivera and his staff has in store. It's just positional fluidity. So, and then you got to think at a left guard, you also have a guy like Wes Schweitzer, right? Used to play here in Georgia for the Atlanta Falcons. I think he's above average as well. I think he's a guy that, hey, sometimes you'll go, you won't hear his name, and then sometimes you will hear his name a little bit too much. But I think he's above average. He's definitely a starter in this league, but you can rotate him out as well. Sadiq Charles could very well play there. And then you go and sign damn Eric Flowers, who could also be a left guard. Now, I think he has a chance at a certain point in time to be just very good. If he's on his game, he's very good, right? He was a phenomenal talent in college. Another guy that I covered in college at Rivals.com covering the University of Miami. Eric Flowers can be that dude. I would have to think he's definitely going to have a say-so in playing or starting at a myriad of positions. He also can play right tackle. So that's something to think about that right there. If you're going to let Morgan Moses go, you want to have 2 or 3 viable options behind him, just in case it doesn't work out. Sadiq Charles could play right tackle. Eric Flowers could play right tackle. And we know Cornelius Lucas can play right tackle as well. Those are 3 options. But then you add a 4th in Sam Cosmi, who you drafted. You see what I'm saying? You see where I'm getting at right there? So if it's a money thing, you got to have the viable options on deck to make it work out to where you can make a tough decision like letting go of Morgan Moses. I think Roulier at the center is very solid. The damn right guard is a damn animal, Brandon Scherf. To me, you don't want to lose him, but I can already see. You see all those bodies there and all these guys that can play different positions? Yeah, I think it may eventually be Scherf's time to go. Hopefully they work that out, and that's not the case, right? Because this guy's an all-pro talent. He's a high upper echelon type of talent. You need those guys along the line of scrimmage. You don't just, to me, throw those types of guys away. They're few and far between. There's a lot of bad offensive line play in the NFL, and you guys know this shit, I'm telling you, for sure. So we seen Wes Martin play some ball as well. Sometimes I don't want to see Wes Martin play some ball, but you know he could be serviceable and he could fill in and he can be a stopgap, maybe for a 2 or 3 game stretch or something like that. So a lot of bodies there. So I can understand the Morgan Moses thing. Do I like it? No, I want your best 5 out there. He will be one of the 5 best linemen out there. If you go talent for talent and you try to get the 5 best linemen out there, you got a lot of dudes that can vie for these positions here because they all play a whole bunch of different positions, right? I would think Eric Flowers would be in that group. Chase Roulier would be in that group. Brandon Scherf would be the best. Man, talent for talent, I don't know. Maybe Sam Cosmi. He's a very talented guy. Maybe he's one of your 5 there. You guys got to let me know. And maybe Cornelius Lucas or Charles Leno, either one. So it's a lot of guys vying there. I think it could be a very solid unit. You got, to me, one of the dopest running backs in the league. That man, Antonio Gibson, is the absolute truth as far as the skill set, and he fits exactly what they want to do in Carolina. I think back to the days of a D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart, that double trouble that they had there. He's double trouble by himself. Fast, physical, shifty. Some of the best pair of hands you'll see at a running back is obviously with that wide receiver background. He's a top 5 talent at the position. Now he has to have that production match his talent level, but you can see it there, and you can very well see that come this particular season right here. So I think the run game is going to be up to snuff. J.D. McKissick's still there. Solid. But this brings me to my overarching point right here where I really wanted to talk about this. If we saw that happen with the offensive line and those guys having a lot of quality depth there and a lot of different options, could that also happen at the safety position? One, Landon Collins, right? Perhaps my favorite player on Washington's football team. Love me some Landon Collins. You guys already know the deal, right? That my career started pretty much. Well, I started in the NFL for a year and a half or 2 years, then switched to college for the next 5 or 6 years. And Alabama was pretty much where I honed my skills, covering the University of Alabama at a myriad of sites. Landon Collins was there. I remember doing a lot of stuff on him for Saturday Down South as far as film studies go and everything like that. I love this dude, love his skill set, but his skill set is not conducive to what they want to do to me in a Jack Del Rio defense, especially if you're talking about having your close side defender match up one-on-one with tight ends. Collins can't cover like that. He just can't. But if you have him in the box roaming against the run, maybe shallow zone duty type stuff, I think he's very good. He's very good. Now, his tackling looked a little shoddy to me, right? Just going and watching all the games last year. His open field tackling looked mad shoddy, and you got to work on that. But a guy like Cameron Curl, what a revelation that was at Arkansas, coming out of Arkansas. Now, he can cover one-on-one. That's the defense right there. That allows for you to do a lot of different shit on the back end, allows for you to post a safety. It allows for you to play big nickel where you can have a couple of safeties roaming at different levels there and having that 3 safety set if necessary there, get more speed on the field. Now, is Landon Collins one of those guys? Of course. He's still the best safety to me there is on the team. He's the most talented. However, being the most talented doesn't really matter if your talents are not matching up with the scheme. Not every scheme is created equal. He could very well go to a different type of scheme and would absolutely destroy it, especially if they're having someone else guard tight ends, maybe have linebackers guard tight ends or something like that, and then you're having him roam a little bit loose, right? Maybe more of a rover type position. He's money. But in this particular scheme right here, you got to really think about that. So think about this. They went and got Bobby McCain. You can post him. You have guys beyond those guys like Troy Apke, DeShazer Everett. You got Reeves there as well. So those are just like those linemen that I talked about. Then you go and draft Derek Forrest from Cincinnati. He's a combination safety in my opinion. He could very well play at a free safety. I would not suggest him post, but hey, you just never know until somebody actually does it. So I'll probably come back with a film study on him later in the week. So that's what I was hinting at earlier. But with the addition of Bobby McCain, and then you do have those guys that I mentioned before, like a Derek Forrest or somebody like that. If you feel like he can immediately play and you want to run a big nickel set, you have it right there because Cam Curl can still guard those tight ends. You have Derek Forrest out there. adding a little bit more speed, then you can post a Bobby McCain or whomever you deal like that. It could be the Shazer Everett, whomever these guys are. Everett could be a combination safety as well. Does that push Landon Collins out the door sooner rather than later? I think eventually he's going anyway, but what they just did to Morgan Moses, if I'm Landon Collins, that scares me because that's a lot of bodies in the safety room. And that's not to even mention some of these guys who could flip and become a safety out from the cornerback position, like a Benjamin St. Juste or somebody like that. While probably won't happen, but if necessity called for it, he could be that dude. I'm telling you. So I don't know, man. What do you guys think about that? I just want to get the discussion going and the dialogue right there. Real football heads reunite, and we can think about that. And tell me that shit wouldn't be hard, though. That would be a tough one on me right there, man, if they got rid of Morgan Moses and Landon Collins. But this ain't your daddy's Washington football team. They have a plan. They're executing that plan. You got to fall in line. When I don't know if I heard that man say something about, like, I'm a safety or this and that when the whole linebacker thing was going on. I always think you're better off just not saying anything. What's saying what you are going to do? Because you're going to be what they want you to be, or they're going to get you to fuck off the team, right? Fuck out of here. So let that be a lesson if that is the case. Do not come out your mouth and say what you are trying to dictate to something. Like, it's these guys' team. You're an employee. They can terminate your contract. So don't do that. You don't want to do that there. All right? So what you guys think about that, man? Could Landon Collins be gone sooner rather than later? How do you want to see the starting lineup for the offensive line play out? All right? Let me know. It's the Washington football scheme. It's your boy Murph, the Underground King right here, trying a little something new right there, talking to you people. And we can get the dialogue rolling, all right? With that being said, it's your boy Murph, Top Billin Sports, and I am out. Peace.
What more can I say?
Top Billin.